Hello there, how y'all doing? Hope you're doing fine. Anyways, Tale of Immortals, developed by the Chinese, for the Chinese, until the Western audience made them translated by abusing their keyboards and purchasing power. I'm still not sure how not many people have found this game out, because it's an actually decent and surprising title. Cultivation. I will be saying this through a video a lot. Just know that it's a leveling system with extra steps. Setting. This setting in particular is something that not many games out there attempt to do as in-depth as this one. It's an RPG based in Chinese mythology and mystic Taoism. If you have ever read one of the Chinese cultivation novels and thought that would make a cool game, the studio somewhat delivered on it. If you don't want to read Chinese novels, you go and read some Chinese history. And I suggest that even more, because some of the events that transpire in it are wild. To talk about the setting, I first have to talk about character creation and stats screen. Yes, very interesting stuff, I know. When you are making your character, you will be rolling a charisma value, which other NPCs will base their opinion of you. They will treat you better if you are more beautiful. It is perfectly fine, no matter if your character is a two-legged abomination or a beautiful man or woman. You can use both of these to your advantage. Once you land into character creation, by default you are some 16-year-old schmuck with no paper and no potential at the moment. If you go to stats, you are going to be seeing traits. There is 3 of these to pick from, and they will essentially give you potential or paper while also acting as your backstory. Now, on to the more fun ones. There is 6 elemental and martial attributes. The highest one of these will determine your starting techniques. While playing on normal, if you build correctly, you'll likely be able to pull off any of the martial or elemental builds. Artisanships. These are essentially your professions that you can use to make your enemy's life a living hell, make extra consumables, and get some extra spirit stones and other goodies. There's also 3 more attributes that I suggest you pay attention to. Charisma, we covered this in character creation. Luck will basically make your character more lucky, so any bad decision in an event, escaping from NPCs, stuff like that, all determined by luck. No matter how dumb the decision seems, if your luck stat is high enough, you will negate any negative consequence from it. And the third one is insight. This one will essentially work with charisma to give you more skill experience. Skill experience is important. Once you complete the village tutorial, you will be set free in the world of Tale of Immortals. You will find yourself in a lawless, backstabbing, and merciless environment, which you will have to navigate in order to achieve immortality or a higher cultivation level that will hopefully give you better chances of survival. We can't cover the whole game without mentioning the schizophrenic and downright bipolar NPCs. They are everywhere, in your sect, in the towns, in the wild. Every single one of them has predispositions that will make them act in a certain way. It's chaos simulated in an interesting and sometimes infuriating way. They will keep you on your toes, whether by robbing you or trying to befriend you. You'll never know what you can encounter at the end of each month. And now that the setting is done, we go on to how the game works and sounds. Presentation and atmosphere of this game will slowly lure you in. The graphics are made to look like a moving painting, blending together with some very good art that is further complemented by music, which is using the traditional Chinese instruments to further draw you into the atmosphere and to immerse you in the marathon of cultivation. That's my take on it. I personally love it. because I haven't seen this art style in any other game so far. Maybe I did, but it was a long time ago. Let's talk about gameplay. 3 important resources: Spirit Stones, Sect Contribution, and Reputation. Reputation is important. Spirit Stones are just your regular money. Sect Contribution, obviously you need to join a sect for this one. This is Spirit Stones, but for your sect. And Reputation, you will get this by leveling it with quests in towns and cities. That is the most efficient way, and usually don't want too much of it. Usually, currency is just currency. There is nothing interesting about it. The best part is that they are all transferable to other regions of the game. There is 2 gameplay states, turn-based and bullet hell RPG. The turn-based is when you are not in combat, but you have actions that you do consuming days in a month. They cannot continue once they exceed a month, and at that point you will have to end the turn and start another one. You will find yourself exploring the map to find all the towns and sects. You have 30 days of travel time in each month. This is affected by travel speed. Every new month will spawn new big and small events. Big ones will pop up as notifications and small ones will look like question marks on the field. There will also be random events that you will encounter randomly. You won't have a choice of which one you will stumble upon, but you will be able to decline participating in them. Aside from events, there's a few more stuff on the map. Ores and herbs. These are used for foraging and alchemy professions. Herb gardens. The name is self-explanatory. It just guarantees that you're going to get herbs. Ruins. These ones will have you explore ancient ruins. That will give you skill manuals and some other goodies. You can also find hidden ones by using Feng Shui. While on your travels, you will also be encountering some blue wispy matter. If you walk onto a square where said matter is, you can cultivate it and raise your experience. You can do this until you reach a bottleneck, where a nearby city or town will accept your humble spirit stone donation for a pill that will break your bottleneck and let you advance further on your path to murder. Special zones. These are zones that will tie to your breakthroughs. They will spawn bosses or let you farm breakthrough materials in them, or will essentially function as a dungeon. Whatever you murder in here, so long as it's a boss, it will give you a shiny reward. If you have a duplicate of this, you can go on to register it in the auction if you're short on spirit stones. Auctions will be happening every 2 years, and you can attend multiple of them in each separate areas of the map. There are skill manuals. These and breakthrough materials are what you will be trying to get your hands on throughout most of the game. The further you progress, the more will the rarity matter, but you can usually get by with any rarities early on in the playthrough. To get breakthrough materials, your character will have to do damage and not be made out of paper. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. You will be acquiring manuals in towns and sects. Worth noting is that higher the difficulty, more likely are they to spawn at higher rarity. Not to worry, mythic or red manuals, which are the rarest, can be found without much effort. There is a few insects, auctions, and in the form of mythic monsters that are marked as a skull on your map, which you can also kill for a breakthrough material. Sadly, these are not easily attainable in the first area unless you're on chaos difficulty. NPCs and interactions. Ah man, where do you start? Man, at the end of each new month, the NPCs will interact with you. If your character's charisma is high, the NPCs will interact with you mostly through gifts, dual cultivation, debates, and spars. The last 3 will give you skill experience points. You will get more the higher your insight is. You can convert these to get skill points that will be used to equip Passive skills. Having high charisma will only work in the first area, but it will matter less and less the further you progress. What will replace it is reputation. If you wanna rake in a steady amount of fans or haters each month, this should be worth farming for a few missions. Now, if you wanna speedrun the game, it's generally a good idea to piss off multiple people by murdering any humans that you can murder, because they will be hunting you down and putting a shiv between your ribs. Now, since you sadly can't have kids and you don't have parents, I say sadly because I wanted to make a cracked out kid just for the fun of it. What you can do, however, will somewhat mitigate that. You can adopt and be adopted by NPCs. You can get a wife or a husband, a sworn brother, and some other things. Usually if your friend, wife, etc. are high realm, people that are hunting you down will think twice before attempting to put you 6 feet under the dirt. For people that have been playing as a female up until now, I recommend you look up what dual cultivation is. Have fun with that one. Lastly, sects. These are a huge help to you, and they will eventually stock some breakthrough materials and spirit fruits. Breakthrough stuff is secondary. The real reason you're joining is because of spirit fruits. Spirit fruits will enhance one of your elemental or martial skills. The higher that martial skill is, the more damage resistance you will have against it. It will also scale with your skill damage. And now combat. Dying in combat is forgiving. The only time this game truly becomes a roguelike, Nightmare, Hell and Chaos difficulties, which will also enhance the NPC aggression. Keep that in mind before you attempt a playthrough, or you will wonder why is that NPC with minimum hate trying to unalive you. Usually the things that lead to your deaths are not a spar, tournament, and sect promotion duel. Losing outside of those will mean death. So naturally, this is where all of those attributes and suffixes matter, and this is where I talk more about them now. In a short summary of skills, as short as I can make it, I'm going to preface this by saying you have to read what your skills do and find an interaction that you think is broken, then proceed to abuse it. Your skills will have levels. Each level will unlock a new suffix. This matters because your character's build is not fully online, combat and stat-wise, until you unlock all of these. Usually, doing missions where you murder monsters will give you skill experience stones that you can spend to level up said skill. Suffix rarity can be rerolled with comprehension stones or sand. The max rarity you can get is tied to your skill rarity. If you already have a pretty nice rarity suffix and you want to keep it, you can roll it back. And this is also where your insight attribute comes in. Now this is a very deep system and I'm not doing it justice. This is very simplified. But the reason I'm doing this is because it is also overcomplicated and confusing at first. Passive skills. Now I mentioned these. What they actually are is your standard gear. You can treat them as your armor, weapons and accessories, okay? That will give you stats if you equip them. So, worth noting are 3 of them that you might gloss over: spiritual resistance, martial resistance, and critical. These 3 will require stats in, for example, lightning at 90. This is not all of them. This is skills related to lightning because they will benefit each other. Now, I have talked about what makes your character strong and weak, but I haven't talked about actual combat. You have 4 active skills. Primary, this is what your basic attack is. Special, this is a spell that will usually interact with whatever blight or self buff your basic attack inflicts. Movement, this is your get out of jail free card. I highly recommend you pick something that makes you untargetable or moves you fast in any direction you choose to go, because you're very likely going to need it. And ultimate, Usually these will interact with the movement spell. These have a condition to proc, for example being at 30% HP, killing enemies, having a shield on, etc. They are heavy hitters and will give you additional damage and defense buffs that will help you out in tough fights, whether with human cultivators or bosses. Combat is where all of your offensive and defensive attributes matter. How do you obtain them outside of passive skills? Is by breaking through, and breakthroughs usually have a few more implications, seeing as how most of them have tiers. You always want to get the best tier because it will give you the most attributes and will make your time for the next two stages easier. What happens once you break through are destinies. That's right, you ain't safe from RNG, Jesus, even here. See, every time you break through, you will get a list of new perks. Said perks can range from mech to enabling you to do, or themselves doing, nuclear levels of damage. Why am I telling you this? Because some of these can enable or disable your build, and you can manipulate them by reloading your save and rolling again. Not on chaos and maybe hell difficulties. There is an entirely different system how you can manipulate those a bit. If you do not want to save scum, you can get them rerolled by completing quests, which will trigger a reroll after completing a quest or after getting an item that will let you reroll anytime you want. Now that we got all of that out of the way, I find this game good for passing by time. I know this game is not for everyone. Now let's talk about buying the game. It's currently $16 to $17 or euros on Steam. I find that price pretty affordable for what the game gives you. I will be recommending you to get the game because I find it fun. Also, let me know if I help you out make an informed purchase, more or less. That's the whole point of this. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a great day.